Question 7 says Mary and Matt ride their horses a distance of 16 kilometers each afternoon. They both finish at the same time, but Mary starts 4 minutes before Matt, and Matt travels 1 kilometer per hour faster than Mary. At what speed are they riding? So let's fill out this chart for what we know about Mary and Matt and they're riding their horses. So both Mary and Matt travel a distance of 16 kilometers. So distance for both of them is 16. For their speed, if we say that Mary's speed is s, we've been told that Matt travels 1 kilometer per hour faster than Mary, so Matt's speed is s plus 1, if this units are kilometers per hour. So to figure out our time, we need to remember that distance, or d, equals speed times time. So if we want to find what time is in terms of speed and distance, we divide both sides of this by s, so we get that time equals distance over speed. So if we combine the terms we've come up with here, for Mary's time, it's her distance over her speed, so her time is 16 over s. For Matt, we do the same. His time is 16 over s plus 1. Okay, and so we've also been told that Mary's time, or Mary starts 4 minutes before Matt. So that means that Mary's time equals Matt's time plus 4 minutes. We want to figure out what 4 minutes is in terms of hours, because our time here, we've expressed it in units of hours. So we have to be careful here, because our speed is in kilometers per hour, our distance is in kilometers, our time has to be in hours. So to figure out what 4 minutes is in hours, all we have to do is say that 4 minutes over 60 minutes. Divide that out, and that doesn't divide to a nice decimal, but we can simplify it to 1 over 15. So 4 minutes is 1/15 of an hour. So we can say that Mary's time equals Matt's time plus 1/15 of an hour. So now we have it in the right units. And now we can plug in our expressions here for Mary and Matt's time into this equation. So we said that Mary's time is 16 over s equals Matt's time, or 16 over s plus 1 over 15. Okay, so we want to recognize here that we have an s at the bottom of our fraction, so this means that we have a restriction and s has to be greater than 0. But now we can solve for s in this equation here, and to do that we want to multiply both sides of the equation by the least common multiple of our denominators, and so that ends up being just the denominators multiplied by each other. So we're going to multiply this side of the equation by 15s times s plus 1, and this side by the same 15s times s plus 1. Okay, so on the left side of the equation, the s's cancel out, so we're left with 15 times s plus 1 times 16. On this side of the equation, I'm just going to separate this. So we have 16 over s plus 1 times 15s times s plus 1 plus 1 over 15 times the same 15s times s plus 1. So on this side, the s plus 1's cancel out, and we're left with 16 times 15 times s, which is 16 times 15 is 240, so that's 240s. On here, the 15s cancel out, so we're left with 1 times s plus 1, so it's just s times s plus 1. On the left side, I can simplify this as well. 15 times 16 is again 240 times s plus 1. All right, so now let's multiply out these brackets. So we have 240 times s is 240s. 240 times 1 is 240. S times s is s squared. S times 1 is s. So now what I'm going to do is just subtract 240 from both sides of my equation, because those will cancel out. Sorry, 240s. So I'm left with 240 equals s squared plus s. I want to bring my 240 over to the right side of the equation. I get 0 is equal to s squared plus s minus 240. And so now we want to use the quadratic formula to figure out what s is. And so if we remember, quadratic formula is s equals negative b plus or minus, sorry, I'll just show that this is separate, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, so plugging in our terms a, b, and c from this equation, s equals negative 1, because the coefficient on the s is 1, plus or minus 1 squared minus 4 times 1, because the coefficient on s squared is 1, times negative 240 over 2 times 1. Okay, so if we evaluate this out, what we end up getting, 1 squared is 1, negative 4 times negative 240 is a positive 960. So we have a 960 plus 1, and that gives us a square root of 961 over 2. The square root of 961 is actually a nice number. It's 31. So we end up getting negative 1 plus or minus 31 over 2. So we just split this up into the two options. S equals, or S1 equals negative 1 plus 31 over 2. And over here, S2 equals negative 1 minus 31 over 2. So this term, negative 1 plus 31 is 30, divided by 2 is 15. So we have S1 equals 15. On this side, this ends up being negative 32 on the top, divided by 2 is negative 16. So we have two answers for s here, but if we remember our original restriction, we said that s has to be greater than 0. So this answer, s equals negative 16, does not work, and so that's our extraneous root. We can cross it off. So s equals 15 is our answer. We said that s is Mary's speed. So Mary's speed equals 15. The units are kilometers per hour. And we know that Matt's speed from the question was 1 kilometer per hour faster than Mary's. So Matt's speed is 16 kilometers per hour. So those are answers for question 7.